Welcome back, everybody, to the HardForking channel, and welcome to my two co-hosts, Leanne and Jesse. How are you?
Hi, Sean. Hello, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Stay with us to the end. We will be telling you about a giveaway that we're doing later today on our live stream. But first, the big news, obviously the hard fork happening right now. So the Ethereum EIP 1559, also known as the London hard fork, do we know what that's all about, people?
No. Can you explain it to me like I'm five?
I can explain it to you like I'm five. I'll give it a go. So in a nutshell, it's really designed to make the fees less volatile on Ethereum, something we all desperately want, and more predictable. They've modeled this over the last year, and what they've found is with this implementation, 75% of the inflation in Ethereum would have effectively been burnt. So the whole idea here is moving into ETH 2.0, Ethereum is effectively going to become a proof of stake and a deflationary asset. That's sort of my take on it, but why don't we have a listen to one of the co-founders, Joseph Lubin, and what he's got to say on it all.
We think of it as a paradigm shift in how the world architects itself. It's essentially the next step where one step is the democratization of the trust layer, where up till now it's been very centralized. Second step that's in full flight right now is the democratization of the global decentralized finance system. And this step is the introduction of something that people are calling ultrasound money. So where a fixed amount of gold on the planet and a fixed supply of Bitcoin represents sound money to certain people, with $13 billion worth of Ether locked up in Ethereum 2 and 70 billion locked up in decentralized finance. We have enormous demand for the Ether token, and now we're burning the Ether token with the introduction of the London hard fork.
Let's jump into an ETH chart, Leanne, and see how the market's taking this development.
So last week we discussed that, we had some swing to the upside. I've actually brought up the daily chart this time because for me it was important to see the price action clear the SMA resistance, and we've done that. So it's definitely got bullish momentum. I am interested to see if it can do like a 1, 2, 3, 4 breakout pattern, or it could just go headstrong straight up. So I'm very interested how this is playing out. Definitely bullish vibes at surfing, according to my method.
The other thing I want to point out about this London hard fork, we've got 13 billion already staked in ETH 2.0. We've got another 70 billion that's in DeFi. So, we could be looking at a large supply shock of Ethereum moving through this year and into next year, which, if that happens, the price is only going to go in one direction, and that's up. So exciting times. Now, another thing that I'm getting asked a lot, does this invalidate layer 2 technologies like matic? What I would say on that is absolutely not. Those layer 2 are built on top of Ethereum, and in effect they are part of the scaling solution. So I've found it kind of funny that as we're seeing a lot of these other coins pop off, we haven't seen any movement in matic. It's just been a dead duck. So could we have a look at that chart and give us your thoughts on what's happening there, Leanne?
Well, to have a look at this, so on the daily, we still are under some wave pressure here. So I've drawn these two lines here, and that you've seen the charts before, they've been there for a while, so we could do another consolidation within this range, but I would like it to clear the 124 zone to get any type of real confirmation that we're headed to the upside. So I would say this is a time, if you're wanting to accumulate it, I would do so within the range and the reaccumulation zone. Start scaling in, don't go in all at once. If this is an accumulation play and you're passionate about the project, which I know you are, Sean, and any other viewers, it's a good time to start scaling in, is my recommendation for a chart like this, because we don't have absolute confirmation to the upside yet.
Yeah, I've been using that platform quite a bit for liquidity and staking on there, also for gaming. We're going to have a look at what we're doing in the gaming space shortly, but we usually start off with Bitcoin. We obviously bypassed it today because the big news is what's happening in Ethereum. Other big news were the comments by Gary Gensler. Mr. Gensler is the head of the SEC. The reception from the crypto community to his statements has been extremely mixed. Let's have a quick listen to what the head of the SEC has just said to the Senate about crypto.
We're an investor protection agency, and right now this asset class, Bitcoin and the hundreds of other coins that investors are trading in, is a speculative asset class, and if people want to take risk, that's all right. But what we want to do is provide them some of the basic protections against fraud and manipulation. The trading platforms they're on are not currently under a regulatory regime that protects them like they're trading on the New York Stock Exchange. It just isn't. And I think those are gaps, and I think that's not good for investors, and I don't think it's good for the technology.
My take on this is that this guy is a very big fan of Bitcoin. He taught a blockchain course at MIT for 3 years. So he actually left MIT to take on the role as head of the SEC. So you probably couldn't wish for a more knowledgeable person. He really understands blockchain. He knows exactly what Bitcoin's all about. He's taught it to some of the most intelligent people on the planet. But it does concern me that he's talking in terms of most cryptos being securities. So what is a security, I hear you ask? A security
For 5-year-olds.
For 5-year-olds, okay. It's effectively an equity in a company. You're buying something that you're expecting a return on. When they're deciding if something is a security, it goes through what's called the Howie test. This is purely in the US I'm talking about here. Now, Bitcoin and Ethereum have been through the US courts. This has already been looked at. They've both been deemed not to be securities. So there is no danger of anything surprising us on those two fronts, although I think we are going to see a lot more regulation around Bitcoin without a doubt. The concern here, though, is if you have this guy saying that most of the cryptos are securities, how's that going to play out moving forward? I think my take on this is the guy is going to be quite measured. I don't think they're looking to stifle innovation, as he said, but obviously you need protection for consumers. My personal view here is somewhat mixed. If we have a look at this article that I wrote a number of years ago and the press coverage it got around the Long Island iced tea company changing its name to the Long Blockchain Company, the share price going through the roof, a lot of insider trading stuff going on there, and the SEC are going after this guy, Eric Watson, a fellow Kiwi, and I personally got burnt by this. A lot of people did. Mixed feelings here. I want to see crypto flourish. I want to see innovation let free. I think they've done a good job on that so far.
I like how his main reason is, to protect people from what, like they do in the stock market. And I actually split my tea out this morning when I was watching the clip you sent me, Sean, because it's if the stock market is the esteem to be held, that's actually quite laughable to me. And it's what I love about crypto. We take calculated risks. We hodl onto things we don't think are risky, and if you want to play in the pools that in trading that potentially hold some risk, there's plenty of research and risk analysis to do independently without the Fed getting involved. But I don't know, I don't like the smell of it at all, and yet at the same time some regulation leads to wider adoption, so it is a double-edged sword.
How much do you think these people who are trying to push bills and pressure Congress and do all these things, these lawmakers and these political so-and-sos, a lot of them have kids, yeah?
I would say so, yeah.
How many of their kids are just killing it in the crypto game? And how many of them have to go sit down at the dinner table every night and talk and get into an argument with their son or their daughter about about, we're trying to regulate it, and then going like, why? What's wrong with you? And getting into a fight with their kids about crypto.
Well, Jesse, it's funny you mentioned that. If we have a look at this article here, we've got our man, Jamie Dimon, who was literally the biggest hater of Bitcoin, CEO of JP Morgan. I remember back in 2017 where he was absolutely attacking Bitcoin. His daughter turned around, and it turned out she was a very big holder of it. So, of course, they all do have kids, and it will be them. I guess Janet Yellen doesn't. Maybe we should look that up.
Well, who would? Honestly, who would? But the thing is, it's like they even say that at school, teachers a lot of times can teach their kids simple things like recycling and turning off the kitchen faucet when you're not using the water, and do these things. And actually, they take it home, and parents listen, and they adopt some of these skills that should be basic, but the kids actually learn. Now, obviously, it could go the other way, where school teachers brainwash the kids and then send them home to start spitting out all this retarded information that they hear. But in terms of crypto, it could go the opposite direction, where you might very well have these people that are a little bit confused, and their kids who are pulling in, $10K a month or something off legitimate crypto trading and all this stuff. They might say, look, I don't know what you're talking about. This is my life, and I love it, and it might actually sway them.
Yeah, well, you were mentioning the Fed before. I think what's also quite fascinating moving forward here is obviously in the US you've got federal law, and then you've got all your different state laws. I think crypto is probably going to follow a similar path to marijuana. I think at a federal level it's illegal, but the reality is most states in the US now have decriminalised it or flat out legalised it. I think with Bitcoin we're possibly going to see a very similar scenario where you may have certain states, I know Texas and Florida are obviously very crypto friendly. They may also make, at a state level, make it legal tender. On that note, Leanne, shall we have a quick look at the BTC chart?
Again, we've just been watching and waiting, and we got a break on the daily. That was very nice. But on the daily chart, we're actually, according to my method, we're still in the snorkeling territory. We haven't quite broken through the next layer of resistance under this wave, which is around the 43K. But on the 343-minute chart, which is the one I often look at with you guys, I can just flick over to that, actually.
I'm hearing a lot of people talking about a lot of clear air up to 50K if we break that level, Leanne.
Yeah.
Could you explain to people when you hear people talk about clear air up to a next sort of price target, what does that actually mean?
It means there's no obvious resistance it can run into. So once it's cleared really definitive areas, like we were waiting for this 41.5 zone to break clearly, and it did. And we spoke last week. I said I wanted it to come down and retest, because that's usually what it does. It's quite healthy when it does that, which it's done that, and it's actually bounced off my SMA beautifully. So now, and in anticipation, I would expect it to power through this clear air up here, but we don't have any. We have small areas of resistance, but we don't have a lot, and that's what that means. It means there's no moving averages that are sort of in my way. There's no heavy areas of traffic in selling and buying pressure from previous areas, and the biggest one we get to, all this energy stacked up in the 49.50 zone. So that's where it will get some turbulence. So all this space in between is the clear air zone.
So we could see a really swift move up to 50 if we can break.
I think so. If we break this back up to the 42K mark again, we might see some really fast action, or we could see it crawl along this line and tease us for a while before it breaks through. But, I've also put in here a dead cat bounce. This area could well be, and we have to keep on our toes about that, it could be a dead cat bounce. So there'll be a lot of uncertainty in this zone. So this is definitely a zone we need to be really vigilant and careful with.
Looks like this horrible situation we find ourselves in with COVID isn't going to be over tomorrow. Now, Do you think Bitcoin and crypto is potentially going to become even more appealing to people? The factors involved here, stuck at home in front of a computer, we're obviously seeing a huge boom in the gaming space. Less of a trust in certain governments for a lot of people in their countries. Maybe people are starting to understand what this money printing has really meant. Do you think that the uptake and understanding of Bitcoin and crypto is just getting stronger, or do you think people are losing interest?
I definitely think there's a good case now for people to get interested again. And I think, as you know, we've got government regulations coming in where I think, as you said, people have realised this is still not going away. There's a lot of unknowns coming up. And, you know, for me, it made me, even in the last week, even more bullish on Bitcoin. And I know that Willy Woo, in his last assessments with on-chain data, he suggested, he called, you know, a lot of the buying that's been happening, the shrimps. The shrimps have been the geniuses that have been nibbling away and stacking sats. So I feel like that there is that undertone of, we don't know what's coming. I'm going to accumulate as much as this as my pocket will let me. I feel like we're getting into another surge of interest.
As we've talked about before, and we'll talk about later, is this play to earn craze. To me, is still it just for me it really is the most in your face example of crypto in general pulling in a quicker amount of crowds because of the aspect of it, where it's people connected, playing, earning, cashing in on a loop, and that's all connected to this NFT thing. It's like, I just feel like I think that crypto is becoming a little bit more interactive now than it was before, where it was a lot of speculation and white papers and promises and high hopes and ideas. This is like, I see so much more interaction happening these days. So with that plus, lockdowns and everything, I can only imagine it's just upward and onward here from here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've bleated about it for a number of years now, so I'll keep it short. But, it is the first time in human history that with Bitcoin, we really do have private money, money you control, money that can't be taken off you. If you're going out and you're spending 8 hours a day working, do you really want someone that you've never met making decisions about a money supply? And effectively your value, the time that you're putting in, is being diminished here by this money printing. So the whole point of Bitcoin is hard money, that cap supply, that schedule of release that everyone knows about. You've only got to understand the demand for this asset because you know exactly what the supply is. So Bitcoin offers us so much, and I know for a lot of people they come into crypto and they're not interested in it, but it is important you understand that use case of Bitcoin. With Ethereum, the argument might become that it's also got that same attribute that Bitcoin has of that finite supply, and could in effect become a store of value play that institutions view Bitcoin at. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that all plays out. But as it currently stands, Bitcoin is the only truly decentralized crypto there is. It can't be shut down. There isn't a door to go and knock on and arrest. Whereas with Ethereum, there are still people involved at its core. It is becoming more and more decentralized, just like a lot of these other cryptos are. So looping back to what Gary Gensler is talking about, a lot of these projects start out as very centralized. They need to be, but decentralization is built in. That's what we see with these governance tokens. I think it's really interesting with the NFT and the gaming space, how that will be handled by regulators, because as I said before, the definition of a security is you buying something expecting the value of it to go up, which is what everyone does with crypto. But if you think about an NFT, you are buying a piece of art. So does that apply? Is that a security? Are these gaming token securities? If we look at Axie, you need that AXS token to breathe. There is utility in that token. So is it a security? Much better chance of being deemed not to be a security moving forward. But what I would just sort of say on this topic, and it's not financial advice, but I'm always very wary about US-based projects, especially as the eye of the SEC and regulation is coming down. So I tend to stay away from a project based out of the US for that reason. Sad to say, but that is my thinking. So Jesse, ape it up, man. I hear you've had a nice little week with the project that you talked about last week.
That is correct. I aped into Bored Apes about 11 days ago. I was actually watching fellow YouTuber Elio Trades. He had a guy on. He's an NFT kind of headhunter. And I did what I always do. I thought, okay, well, if this guy has anything to offer, let's just scan through real quick. I wasn't paying close attention to everything he said. I just wanted to hear him name drop a few. And when he had said Bored Apes, I thought, hey, that sounds cool. And I looked into Bored Apes, and I liked the website. I liked their roadmap. I liked the art. And for me, it doesn't take a lot. It takes a little bit of gut instinct. It takes a little bit of reading about it. And within maybe more like an hour, I had my eyes on an ape. And then within a day, I bought the ape. I had a very strong feeling that this is more than just a quick craze. And we all know that NFTs are going up. And let's be honest, even some of these lesser known ones, they're probably still doing well. And I think these NFT fiends that you see out here, they're buying one of everything. They're just jumping in on the next project and the next project. But I think the interesting appeal about apes is that they're, let's say, pioneers of this kind of club starting aspect of it all. And anyways, yeah, so long story short, 11 days ago, I picked up my ape for 7.3 Ethereum. And as of today, this is the latest one, 12.5 wrapped Ethereum.
So cool.
I've had a lot of questions from close friends saying, so does that mean you're probably going to sell soon, or what do you, that's the question, right?
Absolutely. What is the answer to that?
Well, it's tricky, right? You can't take profits with an NFT.
You can't scale out. You can't sell one.
I think that I will keep an eye out. Just keep an eye, glued, sort of one eye glued to the NFT markets, then and to the market sentiment and to any type of news I can. But there's 10,000 apes, and they're not all bought up yet, but they're being bought at a very rapid rate at this point. And I think one of the most positive aspects of it all is the kind of celebrity / sports / influencer / musicians, all these people getting in on it. I would say that some fads, some can last years and some can last decades. I don't really see this as much of a quick bubble. So my answer is I am not looking to sell anytime soon, but that doesn't mean that I don't have a trigger finger ready at any moment if I do get a signal or a trigger to me that says, get out. I'll be ready.
I was at the zoo a couple of weeks ago, actually, with my my little niece and the apes.
Where is this
The apes looked so bored. There was one that was sitting there whacking off for 10 minutes, and the rest of them were just kind of hanging back.
He was bored. He was a bored ape. Yeah. When I looked at the apes after you'd mentioned it to me, I did get a shock at the price, and that there were still so many left. But well done you for taking that gut instinct, and it's something you're interested in, and it just blew up this week, didn't it?
Yeah, we'll see. I am also well aware that for whatever reason, it may be the case that it doesn't continue in this direction. But oh man, it just in 11 days.
Yeah, really
the
quick.
11 days.
Is there a
I did the
chart
math.
we can look at for Bored Apes?
No.
Not at the moment, no. But I will say that I did the math, and my ape has gone up in almost $20,000.
I think you've done a 2x, haven't you, in a week?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Theoretically, I could go ahead and sell it right now, but look at me.
Yeah, look at you.
Am I
Oh,
that guy?
right. Well, we'll find out next week whether Jesse's still
Jesse's the
holding.
investor, so
Still
Come back
holding
and
his
see me
ape.
cry.
I just don't want the bankrupt ape.
So in other NFT news, we've got FTX. I know you're a big fan of Sam Brinkman-Friedman and what he's doing. We'll have a look at the Soul chart in a moment. But FTX have just put 7 million into Riot blockchain. They are also the new sponsor of the League of Legends Champion Series. So look, every time I look at the news, there are huge investments coming into the NFT gaming space. Certainly where I'm looking to place a large amount of my portfolio and my bets. We've obviously all had a fantastic experience with Axie Infinity so far, and we have one of the key people, Jiho, will be back on this channel with us next week. We should have a look at the Sol chart now, maybe, on that note, if we're talking about FTX.
So, as you know, I've did some scaling in and out, and I have a long-term hodl stack. So I actually, on the daily, just made the decision to start scaling in now, because it gave me, my system gave me an indication that we had bullish momentum. So again, I started scaling in. I'm not all in on this trade. I'm scaling in case we do get some downside. I'll buy some more, but it's looking good. And we've cleared the water, so now this is surfing territory, and I'm really keen to see it break the 43 mark, and then I might scale some more in on confirmation of that.
All right, thanks for that, Leanne. So coming up later today, people, on our live stream, we are giving away 10,000 Nine Chronicles gold tokens. So if you'd like to be part of that, make sure you put a comment below on this video. I'll put a link to the tweet where we need you to let us know that you're interested as well. And make sure you're on that live show. So we're giving away the prizes to people in that stream. It really is for our community and gamers. We really want the tokens to go to people that are very interested in checking out that game, and it is a great game. They are launching a IDO on Sushi as of Monday, and then the token will go live on Sushi the following week. So it'll be quite fascinating to see how the price of the NCG token moves over the next couple of weeks. We'll keep you posted on that one. But join us tomorrow on the live show. It's very much a gaming show. We're there to educate you, answer your questions, and give away some tokens. So I hope to see many of you there for that. So parting comments, guys and girls. Jesse, give us some great piece of life advice. You've kind of become our soothing type guy on this show.
Keep your mind open and free out there, guys, and don't fall victim to some of this weird mainstream crap that you're being fed. Always be questioning everything and stay sharp.
Good advice. Leanne?
My imparting wisdom for the week will be try to think like a chess player, and whatever you think might come next, and maybe a lot of people don't actually think about that. I spend a lot of time thinking about what the governments might do next, what's going to happen geographically, all of those things. So I'm going into organizational mode, and that's what I've been in the last few weeks, and I'm getting my ducks in line so that I can take action rather than reacting to things. I'm already have plans in place, whether that's passively resisting and buying little bits of Bitcoin so you're in the game, whether that's organizing. We've talked about security, getting all of your security organized, whether it's thinking about where you want to live, how you want to live your life, which countries do you want to be in, what areas, what suburbs, what type of lifestyle. Start thinking about all of that stuff. You don't want to react to situations. You want to be proactive and already have things in place about what you might want to do. So that's my wisdom for the week.
Yeah, fantastic comments. My advice is, if you still have a lot of information gaps around what Bitcoin actually is, start there. You need to understand Bitcoin before you really branch out. It's going to make life a lot easier for you, really understanding the fundamentals, what hard money is all about. Leanne's talking about, where do you want to live? This is another big advantage of being a Bitcoin holder. People, you can jump on a plane and go anywhere with your net worth just in your head. You got to remember a password. Try doing that, moving your bank account to another country, and it ain't your money if it's in a bank. You got to ask.
Just don't try and remember after drinks on an aeroplane. That's all. On the way.
Yeah, don't buy Bitcoin if you can't remember a password. Stay the hell away. Okay. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll hopefully see many of you on the live stream, and thank you to my wonderful co-hosts. We'll see you back here next week, everyone. Cheers now.